Have you ever looked at someone's life and thought, how did they get there so fast? Like 1 minute they were struggling, trying to figure it all out, holding on to everything just to survive, and then just suddenly everything changes. New opportunities, new environment, whole new confidence, basically a new level of success. And it almost feels like it just happened overnight. But what if I told you it didn't start when their life changed externally? It started when something shifted, something changed internally. Because recently something happened to me that honestly reminded me of this so deeply. I was in Miami celebrating my 1-year anniversary, and I literally saw this man selling toilet paper on the street. So I'm sure maybe a lot of you have seen the video. I stopped to talk to him. I had no idea that he was recording. So I wasn't trying to make content. I wasn't trying to go viral. I think the video has like maybe over 10 million views at that point. But I was genuinely just speaking from my heart. And as I was talking to him, yes, I gave him business advice. I told him, make it easier for people. Get a QR code. Simplify the whole process. Everyone has a phone. If you can't close now, it's going to be in their browser. But honestly, that wasn't the most important advice I gave him. The most important thing I gave him was belief. I congratulated him on his success. I told him to believe. Because when I looked at him, I didn't just see some young man selling toilet paper. I saw someone with ambition, someone trying, someone with a vision, someone who believed his life could become more. And I think that's the moment that resonated with millions of people online. Because deep down, people, maybe you, don't just want success. Maybe they want permission to believe bigger for themselves. And that's what this video is really going to be about. Because leveling up your life has very little to do with effort alone, but it has everything to do with your internal identity, your nervous system, your intent, and the goals you emotionally connect to. But if you're new here, hi, welcome to Rise and Elevate. My name is Leanne, and this channel I created, it's basically just a space where I talk about universal principles and how I've been able to utilize them to create and manifest a pretty beautiful life for myself. So if you're into this sort of thing, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I come out with videos every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. One of the biggest things I've learned is that people misunderstand goals completely. Most people think goals are just something that you want, right? You're going to write it down on a piece of paper and we're going to work towards that. But in Reality Transurfing, which is a book that I'm obsessed with, there's a huge difference between a goal and the method. And this changes everything. Because most people become very emotionally obsessed and wrapped up with the how. How is something going to happen? How am I going to achieve and attain that goal? How am I going to get the money? How am I going to get the relationship, the opportunity, the timeline? People, we just want the exact method, right? That it's going to line up. But life doesn't always deliver your goal through the method that you are trajecting or planning or predicting. See, this viral moment is a perfect example of that. Because if you would have asked me a week prior, Leanne, what's going to bring a ton of people to your page? I honestly would have thought, okay, that perfectly edited video, which obviously I'm not so great at editing, a strategy or the perfect thumbnail, the planned piece of content that's just going to be so aesthetic and everyone's going to love it. No, not at all. It was a random interaction with a young man selling toilet paper in Miami. But that, my beautiful friends, that is not the point. Because when your intention is genuine, when your heart is aligned, and when your energy is authentic, life can open doors through methods you've never could have even predicted. And this is where people just will block themselves because they become so attached to one path, one method, how it's going to happen. And they miss the opportunities just trying to reach them from another direction. And this connects directly to why people struggle to level up. Because most people are trying to create a new reality while emotionally just operating from an old identity. And I'm guilty as charged. And our nervous system, your nervous system, will always pull you back towards what feels familiar, even if what feels familiar is struggle and pain. I want to share a little personal story. When I moved from a very, 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 very small town from upstate New York to South Florida, it was the biggest shift externally. It was huge. A lot of people were like, whoo, but it was all internal. Because slowly, I started becoming someone who felt safe with more. Safe being seen. Safe receiving opportunities. Safe around success and wealth that I'd never seen before in my entire life. And I didn't realize this fully when I was doing it at the time, but looking back now, I'm like, oh, shizness, that was the real work, Leanne. Because your nervous system determines what you can hold, not just what you can attain. Anyone can temporarily get something, but can you emotionally sustain it? That's the real question. And this is why so many people will just self-sabotage themselves. Not because they're lazy and not because they're incapable, but because their body still associates the next level with danger. Stay with me because this is going to click. They'll see more visibility as threat, more money as pressure, more success as responsibility. So subconsciously, the nervous system pulls them back to what's known. Even if what's known is smaller than the life they truly want. And this is why internal beliefs matter so much. Not faking positivity. We're not pretending. I mean real internal beliefs. The kind where you decide, my life can become more than this. That's where it starts. Because once the mind has a goal and you get that nervous system, the nervous system begins feeling safe with it. Reality starts reorganizing itself around that intention. Not always instantly, but consistently. And this is where I see people and friends of mine, they'll quit too early. Because reality is nothing but a mirror, but it has a little bit of a delay. So the internal shift happens first. You have to make that in here. And then that external reflection comes second. So if you feel like nothing is changing yet, sweetheart, gorgeous, beautiful friend of mine, that does not mean it's not working. It's just sometimes your external reality is just simply catching up. Think of him or her just kind of running behind you. It's just catching up to who you've been becoming internally. And honestly, that young man, he reminded me of something really important. You never know where one moment, one interaction, one decision, and one belief in yourself can lead. So stop focusing so heavily on the method of how. Focus on the goal. Focus on the intention. Focus so wholeheartedly on the internal identity and just becoming. Emotionally align the version of you that already has it, because that's the real key. So, if this resonated with you, I want you to comment rise below. And until the next video, much peace and love.